Welcome back to the Learn and Talk English podcast YouTube channel, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into something that could really change your future IELTS.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
All right.
We're not just going to talk about the exam.
Right.
We're going to be using some high-level English vocab and sentences throughout our conversation.
Awesome.
So you can level up your English while you're learning about IELTS.
That's the goal.
So it's kind of like a two-for-one deal.
Two birds with one stone.
Okay, so when I say the word passport,
Okay.
what comes to mind? Like
I mean,
travel,
travel stamps.
adventures,
Yeah.
exotic destinations,
Exactly.
all that good stuff.
And IELTS,
Uh-huh.
it's kind of like a passport
Okay.
for your ambitions.
I like
It's a global passport.
I like that.
So imagine this.
Okay.
You're a non-native English speaker.
But you've got these big dreams for your future.
Okay.
IELTS is the key to making those dreams a reality.
Okay. Absolutely.
That sounds incredible.
It is.
But let's back up for a second.
Okay.
What exactly is IELTS?
Okay.
And why is it so important?
So IELTS stands for the International English Language Testing System.
Okay.
It's basically the gold standard for showing your English level to universities, employers, and immigration authorities all over the world.
So it's kind of like, you know, a big signal flare that says, hey, I'm here, I speak English, and I'm ready to take on the world.
To do big things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just what you say, it's how you say it.
Absolutely.
IELTS tests you
Okay.
on all four skills.
Uh-huh.
Listening, reading,
Mm-hmm.
writing, and speaking.
Yeah.
So it gives a really well-rounded picture
Yes.
of your English level.
Absolutely.
Okay, I see why it's such a big deal.
Yeah.
But how does it actually work?
All right.
Are there different versions of the test?
Yeah, so there are two.
Okay.
There's IELTS Academic and IELTS General Training.
Okay.
Academic is for people who want to go to university or get a professional registration in an English-speaking country.
So if you want to study at like Oxford, Harvard, you know, maybe the University of Toronto, the academic module is the one you need.
Exactly. And a good score on IELTS Academic can really be what gets you into these really good universities.
Right.
But it's not just about getting accepted.
Yeah.
A good score can also help you get scholarships, research grants, and even work with researchers from other countries.
So it's like this ripple effect.
Exactly.
It's not just about getting in the door. It's about what you can do after you're there.
Totally.
Yeah. Now, what about general training?
Okay, so general training is more for people who want to get work experience or do a training program or move to an English-speaking country.
Oh, so if you're thinking about working for a big international company.
Exactly.
Or maybe you want to start a new life.
Yeah.
In Canada, Australia, New Zealand.
Yeah.
General training is the one for you.
You got it.
Okay.
And it basically shows employers and immigration officials that you've got the English skills to do well in your new environment.
That's amazing.
It is.
One exam opens so many doors.
Absolutely.
It really is like a passport.
It is a passport.
To all these possibilities.
It's a world of possibilities.
And speaking of passport, that's one of those key vocab words we used. It's a really powerful word that represents, you know, opportunity, mobility, and crossing borders.
Absolutely.
Don't forget proficiency.
Oh, yeah.
Which just means your English skill level.
Yeah.
And you can use these words in your own conversations to sound more fluent and confident.
That's right.
And that's what we're all about.
Absolutely.
So we're not just talking about IELTS. We're showing you how to actually use it to improve your English.
I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So let that idea of a global passport sink in. What dreams could IELTS help you achieve?
Think about it.
I'm excited to find out.
Me too.
Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of the exam itself.
Let's do it. Okay, so we know IELTS can open up all these opportunities.
Right.
But the cool thing is how the test actually works. It's designed to really check your English in all four skills. Gotcha. So knowing what to expect can make you feel so much more confident on test day.
Exactly.
So let's break it down.
Okay.
What does IELTS look like when you actually take it?
I'm ready.
All right.
Walk me through it.
So whether you take the paper version or the computer version, you're going to be tested on listening, reading, writing, and speaking.
Gotcha.
It's a complete check of your English skills.
Okay.
But is it all at once?
That's a good question.
Or is it spread out?
Yeah.
So usually listening, reading, and writing are done all together.
Okay.
But the speaking test can be a bit more flexible.
Gotcha.
Sometimes it's on the same day. Sometimes it's a week before. Or even a week after.
Okay, so there's some flexibility there.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's break it down section by section.
Okay.
Let's start with listening.
Okay.
What can people expect?
So in the listening section, get ready to really listen.
Yeah.
You'll hear 4 different recordings. It could be conversations, lectures, radio broadcasts, even just everyday interactions.
So they're really trying to, capture how we really use English.
Exactly.
In the real world.
That's the goal.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What else makes the listening section tough?
Well, you'll hear a lot of different accents.
Oh, okay.
Mostly British, Australian, New Zealand.
Okay.
But also North American and others.
So it's really testing.
Yeah.
If you can understand different ways of speaking.
Absolutely.
That's a real challenge.
It is.
Now, what about the questions themselves?
Okay, so you get a booklet with all the questions.
Okay.
Some are multiple choice.
Right.
Some are fill in the blank. Some are labeling a diagram.
Yeah.
You might even have to match information to the right speaker.
So it's not just listening passively.
Yeah.
You really have to think about it and use the information.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's move on to reading.
Okay.
What can people expect there?
So in the reading section, you'll get 3 long passages.
Okay.
These come from books, journals, magazines, websites.
So a variety of sources.
Exactly. And the topics are all different, but they're usually things that anyone can understand.
Okay. So you might get anything like a science article or a history piece or something about society.
Yeah, like a social commentary.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So it really tests how well you can understand different types of writing.
Different styles? Right. What kinds of questions are there in the reading section?
You'll see some familiar ones like multiple choice, true or false, fill in the blank.
Right.
But you might also have to figure out the writer's opinion.
Okay.
Summarize the main points, or even match headings to paragraphs.
So they really want you to show that you understand.
Well, you will get your level.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the writing section.
Okay.
This is the one that makes people nervous.
Right.
What do you have to do?
So there are 2 writing tasks.
Okay.
In the first one, you get a visual, like a graph, a chart, a diagram, or a process.
So you have to look at the visual and then explain it in writing.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then in the second task, you have to write an essay. You'll be given a topic or a problem, and you have to give your opinion.
Okay.
You might have to offer a solution.
Okay.
Explain your viewpoint, compare different ideas, or even challenge ideas.
So they're really pushing you to use your English to express complex thoughts.
Complex arguments and opinions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last but not least, the speaking test.
The dreaded speaking test.
I know everyone gets nervous for this one.
Right.
What can people do?
So practice is super important.
Okay.
But it also helps to know how the test works and what kinds of questions they ask.
Yeah.
So the speaking test has 3 parts.
Okay.
It starts with a short introduction and an interview.
So just kind of getting to know you.
Exactly. Okay.
Right.
And then part 2.
Okay. So part 2 is a little tough.
Okay.
You get a card with a topic and some bullet points that tell you what to talk about.
So it's like a mini presentation.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the topics are all things you probably know about from your own life. You might be asked about a childhood memory, someone you admire, a skill you want to learn, or your thoughts on a social issue.
So it's a chance to really share your personality, your ideas.
Your unique perspective.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And then part 3?
So in part 3, the examiner will ask you more questions about the topic from part 2.
Right.
These questions are meant to make you really think critically and have a deeper conversation.
So it's the final test of your speaking skills.
Exactly. It's all about showing you can have a nuanced conversation in English.
Okay. All right. So we've talked about all the different parts of the test, but how does the scoring actually work?
Okay. So each skill is scored separately.
Gotcha.
You get a band score from 0 to 9. 9 is the highest.
Okay.
And these bands show your English level.
Gotcha.
So the 9 means you're super proficient,
right,
while a 1 means you have very limited ability.
Gotcha.
The higher the band, the better.
Makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, your overall IELTS score is the average of all 4 scores.
Okay.
But here's the interesting part.
Okay.
They round the scores to the nearest half band.
Rounded.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So, for example, let's say your average is 6.25. That gets rounded up to 6.5.
Gotcha.
But if it's 6.75...
Right. It gets rounded up to 7.
So those quarter bands can make a difference.
They can.
Okay. Now, a lot of people worry about passing or failing IELTS.
Okay.
Is there a minimum score to pass?
So there's actually no pass or fail.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You get your scores, and that's it.
Okay.
It's about getting the score
right.
that the university or organization requires.
Gotcha.
Different places have different requirements.
Right.
Like a top university might want a 7 or higher, but a regular job might only need a 6.
Yeah. So it's all about knowing what you need beforehand and then aiming for that score.
That's it.
Gotcha.
And if you don't get the score you need the first time, you can always take IELTS again.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
You get another shot.
You do.
Okay. So before we move on, let's talk about some key phrases.
Okay.
We talked about opting for the computer-delivered IELTS.
That's one.
And we use the phrase on the ground to mean in reality or in practice.
Okay, cool.
So these are great phrases to add to your vocabulary.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And using phrases like this makes your English sound more natural and sophisticated.
I like it.
So now let's talk about the bigger picture. How does IELTS fit in with all this global movement?
All right, I'm ready.
So we've talked about what's on the IELTS exam and how they score it. But now let's zoom out and look at the big picture.
Yeah.
How does IELTS connect to people moving around the world?
That's a great question.
So think about it.
Okay.
There are tons of people who want to study, work, and live in English-speaking countries.
Makes sense.
And IELTS is like the key to making that happen.
So it's not just a test. It's helping people achieve their dreams.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So just how many people are taking IELTS?
Well, in 2018 alone, over 3.5 million people took the IELTS exam.
That's a lot of people.
It is.
With big goals for their future.
Absolutely.
And where are all these people?
Yeah.
Is IELTS available everywhere?
Pretty much. You can take IELTS in over 140 countries.
Wow.
At more than 4,000 test centers.
So it really is accessible to almost anyone.
It's designed to be.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, how often are the tests offered?
Oh, they're offered pretty often, up to 4 times a month.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Depends on the demand.
So people don't have to wait months and months to take the test.
You can usually find a date.
Okay. That's good to know.
That works for you.
Now, we've mentioned that different places have different score requirements. But is there like a general idea of what a good score is?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
There's no magic number.
Right.
But there are some benchmarks. Like if you're aiming for a top U.S. university, you probably need a 7.
Okay.
Or higher.
Gotcha.
But for a lot of other universities, 6 or 7 is usually competitive.
Okay, so it really depends on where you're applying.
Exactly.
What about for immigration?
Okay. So for immigration, the scores you need can be different.
Okay.
Let's look at Australia.
Okay.
They've been using IELTS since 1998.
Wow.
To assess English skills for people who want to move there.
So it's a big part of their immigration system.
Yeah.
What kind of scores do they usually require?
It depends on the visa.
Okay.
For a skilled migration visa, you might need at least a 6 in each skill.
So it's not just the overall score. You need a certain level in each area. What about other countries? Like New Zealand?
Yeah.
Canada?
Okay.
Do they use IELTS too?
They do. Yep. New Zealand's been using it since 1995.
Right.
And Canada uses IELTS along with some other tests.
Gotcha. So IELTS is really important for moving to these English-speaking countries to make sure that people have the skills
to communicate and be part of the community. Exactly.
Now, what about the UK?
Okay. The UK has its own rules for IELTS. In 2015, they made some big changes.
All right.
They introduced a new test called IELTS Life Skills.
IELTS Life Skills.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's specifically for people who need to show basic English skills for things like family visas or citizenship applications.
So it's more focused on everyday conversation.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you need to show that you can handle daily interactions in English.
Gotcha.
Now the regular IELTS is still accepted for other UK visas, like work visas and student visas.
Okay, so it depends on the visa, which test you need.
Exactly.
What kind of scores do they want in the UK?
Again, it depends on the visa.
Right.
For a student visa, you usually need at least a 5.5 overall.
Yes. Gotcha.
And at least a 5.5 in each skill.
So universities want to make sure students can handle the coursework.
Exactly.
What about work visas?
For work visas, the score you need depends on the job and what the employer wants.
So again, it's super important to check the requirements before you take the test.
Absolutely.
Now, we've talked a lot about the good things about IELTS, but like any test, it has some criticisms too.
Right.
What are some of those?
One concern is examiner bias.
Examiner bias.
Yeah.
What's that?
So in a speaking test, it's not like the other sections where the answers are clear.
Right.
In the speaking test, a person is judging you.
Gotcha.
And people have different opinions.
Of course.
So one examiner might think you're great.
Right.
But another one might not be so impressed.
So your score could depend on who's grading you.
Exactly.
That doesn't seem very fair.
Right.
Yeah.
Some people also say that IELTS is too expensive, especially for people in developing countries.
That makes sense.
It can be a real barrier to achieving their goals.
And that's not what we want.
Nope.
We want IELTS to open doors.
To be accessible.
Exactly.
Actually.
Are there any programs?
There are some.
To help with the cost?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some organizations offer scholarships or financial aid.
That's good.
But we need more of that.
Absolutely.
We need to make IELTS affordable for everyone.
Okay, so cost is one issue. What else?
Another criticism is where the test centers are.
Okay.
A lot of them are only in big cities.
Right.
So if you live in a rural area, it can be hard to get to one.
Yeah, that's a problem.
It is.
So location can be another barrier.
Exactly.
Are they doing anything to fix
some organizations are trying new things.
Like what?
Like mobile testing centers.
Oh, wow.
Or online proctoring.
That's interesting.
So they're trying to reach people in those underserved areas.
That's great.
It is.
It's all about making IELTS more accessible.
More inclusive.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, IELTS isn't the only English test out there.
There are others.
So what are some alternatives?
One of the most popular is TOEFL.
TOEFL.
Yeah.
I've heard of that one.
It's kind of the main competitor to IELTS. So what are the differences?
One big difference is the speaking test.
Okay.
In IELTS, you talk to a real person.
Right.
But in TOEFL, you speak into a microphone.
Oh, right.
And they record your answers.
Interesting.
So it's not as personal as IELTS.
Okay.
Another difference is what they focus on.
Okay.
TOEFL is mostly for academic English.
Okay.
But IELTS
has both academic and general training.
Right.
So it covers more situations.
So if you want to study in the U.S., TOEFL might be better.
It could be.
But if you need a test for different things, IELTS is probably better, more versatile.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And both tests are accepted in a lot of places. So
it really depends
on what you need.
Your goals.
Exactly. Are there any other alternatives?
There are a bunch.
Okay.
There are Cambridge exams, the Pearson test of English, and even the Duolingo English test.
So many options.
Yeah.
There are Duolingo.
How do you know?
That's a good question.
Which one to choose?
The best thing to do is research.
Okay.
Look at the cost, the format, the scoring, and see where they accept it.
So it's all about finding the right fit.
The right test for you.
Exactly.
Right.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up, let's recap some vocab.
All right.
We talked about examiner bias, financial barriers, and geographic location.
All right.
Could you remind us what those mean?
So examiner bias is when an examiner's opinion affects their grading.
Gotcha.
Financial barriers mean that the cost can be a problem for some people.
And then geographic location just means where the test centers are.
Okay. And if people can get to them.
Awesome.
And remember, learning new vocab is so important for your English fluency.
Right.
So try using these words in your own life.
Okay.
It'll make a big difference.
Awesome. All right, so we've covered a lot about IELTS. We talked about the structure, the scoring, the global impact, even the criticisms.
We even talked about
other English tests and how to choose the right one for you.
That's right.
And we've learned some great vocab.
Some great phrases.
Along the way.
For sure.
And remember, don't just listen.
Right.
Actually use these words.
Put them into practice.
Make them part of your everyday English.
I love it.
So for those of you who are thinking about taking IELTS, stay tuned. Because in our next episode, we're going to give you all the tips and strategies to ace the exam.
You got it.
We'll break down each section and give you expert advice
to help you get that score.
So make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss it.
Don't miss it.
Until then, keep learning,
keep practicing,
keep talking English,
and we'll see you
in the next episode.
In the next episode.
In the next episode.